For the last month or so, I have been doing Bible studies with a Jehovah's Witness, and I've been documenting my experience and my time with this witness in the Bible studies here on YouTube. I've been to 2 Kingdom Halls, 2 different meetings, and I've documented my experiences here on YouTube with the Jehovah's Witnesses in the Kingdom Halls. And I have seen every video related to the Jehovah's Witnesses religion. Every video I've had that I've put out, I have had witnesses in the comments being toxic, calling me a liar, saying that I'm deceiving people, and overall just being unruly in the comments about my inquiry into the Jehovah's Witnesses religion. And why is that? Why is it that I've been to the Baptist, I've been to the Orthodox, I've been to the Anglican, and I've been to non-denominational churches? Why is it that none of those other churches, none of them have ever viewed my inquiry, my exploration into their religion and into their church as being deceptive and manipulative? Why is it that they never called me a liar? Or why is it that they never were unruly or disrespectful or toxic towards me during my time within those churches? I from age 5 to age 22, I've went to probably, I gotta say this, over 1,000 services within the Baptist church, within several different Baptist churches. I've been to dozens of Orthodox services. I've been to the Anglican church. I've been to non-denominational churches. Why is it that it's the Kingdom Halls and the Jehovah's Witnesses that are more toxic and more unruly than the rest of them? And I'm going to show you guys some examples here. I have had several accusations thrown my way on the YouTube comments saying that I am lying, deceiving, and manipulating the witnesses that I'm attending the meetings with in the Kingdom Hall and the witness that I'm doing the Bible studies with. Now, my first question is, why is it whenever I've attended other churches, in search of what they believe, searching for what they believe is truth, why they believe it, and where their beliefs come from, I was never viewed as being deceptive or manipulative or lying in those environments? But whenever I step into the Jehovah's Witnesses in the Kingdom Halls and the Bible studies with them, I have had these accusations thrown my way by many of witnesses, at least on YouTube. None in person, all on YouTube. Another interesting thing to note there. Why is that? Why is it that an honest search for truth, an honest search for what they believe to be truth, why they believe it, where their beliefs come from, why is that being viewed as me being deceptive? First off, it's not. In reality. Now, in their minds, they might view me as being deceptive. However, the textbook definition of deception and being deceitful is not honestly searching into something. Being deceptive means causing someone to believe something that is not true, typically for the purpose of gaining something. That's the textbook definition of the word deceit, or being deceitful or deceiving people. That's the reality definition of the word. How am I deceiving the witnesses? With my Kingdom Hall visits and with my Bible studies with them, how am I deceiving them? Well, let's look into what I'm doing there and what I'm telling them. I'm going there telling them I'm interested in learning what the Jehovah's Witnesses believe, what they believe the truth is, and why they believe what they believe. That is my premise. That is what I am telling them, and that is the purpose of why I am going there. How is that being deceitful? How am I lying to them? I'm not lying to them. I am not telling them I'm going to convert. I'm not telling them I'm going to get baptized by them and I'm going to be this loyal, devout member of the Jehovah's Witnesses. I am not saying that at all. If I were saying that, in reality, I am not actually going to do that, and that would be lies. That's not what I'm telling them. And some of these witnesses continue to claim that I'm going in there with a specific motive, and they're referring to it in a negative way, in a derogatory way. I am going in there with a motive, yes. The motive is to learn what they believe and to apply what they believe to truth and reality, to historical context, to historical cultural context of the Bible verses they use, and to apply church history to what they believe. Those are my motives. My motives are not negative. My motives, if they are viewed as negative, it's viewed as negative because I am exposing some of their beliefs. And I think that's what the biggest difference is between the Baptists, the Anglicans, the Orthodox, the non-denominationals, and the Jehovah's Witnesses is. It's that in their churches, they have evidence and they believe what they believe, and they're not in a cult in those other sects of Christianity. They're not in a cult, because only in a cult can an honest inquiry into the truth be viewed as negative. And that's what the Jehovah's Witnesses are doing. I believe that completely. And also, these witnesses keep claiming that I'm not Christian because I'm deceiving and lying and being a hypocrite even. However, some of these witnesses are throwing personal insults my way. Like one person, for example, saying that I'm a fat guy with glasses and I'm being deceived. Okay, and what's that mean? Me being fat and me having glasses, what's it mean? Right? What's that matter for anything? What does your personal insults gain? And wouldn't that make you hypocritical, if all? I'm not saying you are, because Jesus says in the New Testament, you're worried about a splinter in your brother's eye when you have a log in your eye, referring to hypocrites. So I'm not going to call this individual a hypocrite, but I'm saying it could be close. But you calling me a fat guy with glasses, how does that further the message of Jehovah? How does that express your love in Jehovah? How does that show Jehovah's love? How does that show the beauty of the Jehovah's Witnesses and their religion? What positive does that gain? What positive gain is there that exists? There is none for that. So why are you taking to these personal insults? What's that do? That's middle school behavior. I will be open-minded enough to ask this simple question to everybody in my comments here, to the 1,060 subscribers that we have on this channel now, to you, to the current JWs, to the ex-JWs, to the atheists, to the agnostics, and to the other religious people that watch this channel. Like I saw that we have a Buddhist watching this. A Buddhist commented on one of the last videos. That's awesome. I love that. And to the Baptists that watch it, to the Orthodox that watch it, am I being hypocritical? Am I being deceptive? Am I being manipulative? Am I lying to them? If so, honestly, tell me, straight up. Honestly tell me, am I being deceptive? In my mind, in my perspective, judging off of my experiences with the witnesses and their derogatory comments towards me on YouTube, online, that's just further evidence of the Jehovah's Witnesses being a cult, because they're trained and taught to believe that everybody that has beliefs that's differing from the witnesses' official beliefs are liars, deceivers, manipulators. They're evil and they're to be avoided, and that you are to stay away from them. Instead of engaging in intellectual conversation and open-minded conversation regarding evidence, factual evidence, not emotional evidence, factual evidence, church history, cultural context, historical context, biblical context, and reality, instead of factoring all these things into an intelligent conversation regarding their beliefs, they just want to stick with what they believe, with what Charles Taze Russell and the Bible student movements come up with in the 1870s, and they've molded into being what it more is like today from the 1870s, the 1880s, once again in the 1930s, and they're slowly molding it little by little as time goes on, even to this day. For example, I just saw that recently Jehovah's Witnesses, or the Watchtower, which is the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses, have allowed witnesses to go into further secular education. And that's something that was not allowed for at least several decades beforehand. So that's exactly perfect, direct evidence that the witnesses are molding their beliefs over time. One reason I'm making this video is to point out what I've pointed out so far. But another thing I want to note is that I was scheduled to do a Bible study with the Jehovah's Witness that I've been doing the Bible studies with today. And I texted the man last night asking him about a time for this morning. And I texted him once again this morning, and I got no response from him, so I assumed maybe he's busy. And then I texted him again asking him, is Friday or another day a better time for him to do the Bible study, and he has not responded at all, which is not usual for him. Usually, he'll respond to my text within an hour, and it's been 3 hours or so since my last text, not to mention it's been over 12 hours since my initial text last night. So I am wondering if he has perhaps seen my videos here and has decided to cut me off entirely, which I'm not saying it is true because I don't know. Still waiting on a response. Maybe his phone's dead, or maybe he's busy, which I understand completely if that is the case. But one thing that I've been told by XJWs in the comments is that once that witness finds my videos, if he ever does, that witness is going to stop having Bible studies with me.